Man, my abs are hurting from laughing at all of those. Those are good. I'll wait till mine starts. Promos. Anyway, my name is Phil Powers. I've sort of been a freelance mechanic for a number of years, if you will. I bought and sold a number of cars, sort of fixed them up, and then sold them to help pay my way through engineering school. These were a few of them. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about tonight is how to use broken things as an opportunity to learn. And there's a whole lot of opportunities for that, right? How many of you gone to the mechanic or a shop and you come back with this laundry list of stuff and you go, holy crap, this is going to cost more to fix than my car's even worth, right? I mean, we've all probably been through that at some point. Well, at that point, you've got a few options, right? You've got really three options, but I'm only going to touch on two tonight. One, you do it yourself. You sort of experiment, you learn from it, and see what you can figure out. Or two, you sell it to a junkyard, where they're going to part it out and somebody else will get those parts from it. I'm mostly going to advocate the first tonight, and in that case, you might often find a cheap way around the whole gig. So it's the information age, right? We can use it. There's the repair manuals out there. There's the library. All data is a good source of the library, the internet, or your mechanic friend. And honestly, if it's been done before, there's a write-up on it somewhere online. So it's not hard to find an opportunity for it. Some of you ladies, I'm sure, are listening to this and thinking, this is probably for the guys in the audience. This doesn't even apply to me. Well, I grew up in a family where my mom was the mechanic, she was the carpenter, she was the electrician, and my dad broke just about everything he touched. So ladies, if you honestly want to learn, you're more than capable of it. Those are a few of my friends, Hillary and Sarah, who both have, dove into it and learned some on their own of how to really get into it and fix them up. So the first thing to do, is to look for an opportunity. It's easy to find them. Stuff breaks all the time, right? So my first opportunity came when I was 19. I was backpacking in Newfoundland, and my sister decided to borrow my little Ford Escort. The clutch got totally burned out as she tried to learn how to drive on it. And when I got back, I decided to do it myself. So I bought a repair manual. I asked my mechanic neighbor, and he said, don't do it. You're getting way over your head. And then I started work on it. So the next thing you have is trying to find the right tools. And sometimes you don't have the right tool for the job. If that's the case, when you have the opportunity, borrow tools. If you don't have the right tools you can even borrow, try to improvise. There's always a way to find out how to do it. In my case, I actually ended up not having an engine hoist. So I had to set up a 5-to-1 mechanical advantage, use my transmission on one side and a cinder block on the other side, and I parked my car under my porch in order to get some of this advantage going on. And it was great because all I had to do was get under there. I was like 130 pounds at the time and could slide the transmission out and get it out with no problem. But at some point, you're going to need parts, right? Well, junkyards are cheap. Pull it yourself are almost always the cheapest. If you can't find it there, look online. But honestly, junkyards, if you find a pull-it-yourself one, go there because you can pull it, and in the process, learn how to fix it. Like, learn what's going on. And if you break something, no harm done. Half the stuff's broken anyways. I once had my car totaled at Arapahoe Basin, and I had to look for all the parts. I bought it back from the insurance company, went and started doing the fix-up myself, but then, of course, there's that pesky frame damage that you've all run into maybe at some point. The how-to of frame damage adjustment. You find a truck with a hefty hitch, you take a chain and hook the other side up to your frame, you leave a little bit of slack in it, and you drive away. Just do that a few times, voila, back to new, no problem. It works really well, actually. But when you have the opportunity, learn a new skill. Wow, that got, okay. Learn a new skill. I learned how to bend some sheet metal and weld in this case. And sort of get in there with that car that I bought was total rust bucket. But some of you are not entirely capable of doing it. I recognize that, but a friend of mine who suffers from this affliction coined this term. But honestly, probably 85% of you are capable of it if you really want to. There's just that small 15% that might never actually even be able to. So in the worst case of option one, right, you have your car that's no better off than when you started, but hopefully you learned something in the process. Worst case of option two, somebody else benefits from the parts. Your car goes to the junkyard, somebody else ends up getting those pulled out, finds the cheap parts, and everything's good. But people, we sort of have the same problem, don't we? Not that they necessarily cost too much to fix, though there might be a few of those than they're worth. But more that death is imminent. And when this happens, and we don't yet know how to fix them, we call this a terminal illness. So then my question is, in relating this back to people, why is it not okay for a person with a terminal illness to willfully, of their own volition, subject themselves to one of these same two options? Why is it not okay for a person to walk into a research facility, or legal for that matter, for example, to walk into a research facility in option one, And have it, and say, listen, just throw any sort of experimental stuff you've got at me. Give your best. I don't care. I'm going to die in a couple years anyways. Or option 2, donate what they have left. Say, listen, I've only got a few years left, and these organs are going to go bad. Why don't you take them now while somebody else can still use them? Best case, there's more years for you and anyone else with a similar disease. Slightly worse case, more years for others. And in the absolute worst case, you die a little early, but hopefully science makes some progress in the process. I apologize for being the buzzkill. I know it was not near as funny as the rest.